Good to be here.
Cindy just told me also, you just talked about your acknowledgement of those of your retirement. I want to forewarn you, if you're okay, Vanessa has been put in this personnel change. To do personnel reports.
Okay. Oh, that's fine.
Now, on the agenda, you're gonna see that it says resignation. We have to do that,
Okay.
but Jake Houseby is prepared to make a whole bunch of additional comments about you and your service and whatever. But just so you're aware, what we had to do.
Yeah, I have. I think
Nice to meet you. Good to meet you. You work here?
Well, it has to be.
It's nice to see you.
right. I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're still putting up with- It's a tough job, Mark. It really is. Maybe next one.
Pardon me? Oh, thank you.
Sir.
Thank you so much.
Stranger danger.
Oh, here's my friend. This guy's hilarious. This is how you look at it when you get in trouble and you're 12.
Oh, yeah. They're not so kind to you.
No, they are not.
You know
Oh my
what I
God,
mean?
is that
Another
Brad?
way now, it's like you're
Is that Brad? Brad Rinker?
Yes. True.
Brad Rinker?
for the mistakes.
He doesn't know who I
be a
am.
little more lenient.
Cindy Baker. I recognized you right away. How are you? Good. Yeah, it's fun.
Oh.
He lives like out west though. Yeah.
Well said. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the January 25th meeting of the Southwestern School District Board of School Directors. It is 7:05 PM. I apologize for the late start, but we did have a need for an executive session. If you would all please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Probably.
Mr. Mummert, we have roll call, please.
Mrs. Berger.
Here.
Mrs. Boyer.
Here.
Mr. Klausby. Here. Mr. Galazella.
Here.
Mr. Mummert.
Here.
Mr. Plessick.
Here.
Mrs. Rinker.
Here.
Mrs. Weaver.
Here.
Mrs. Jingst.
Here.
9 present, 0 absent.
see if there's anything out there. We'll be with you in a second as soon as we find out if we have any persons who have signed in. Usually, Mr. Rodborn forwards those things to me, but all right, thank you. Okay, we do have several who have signed in. Brad Rinker in observance, Candace Lax, observance, Damian Lax, I might not be saying that right, but volunteer coaching application, I believe. And a Trina Watson to address the board on the thank you for the school board. Okay, we will have all those who wish to address the board later. Additions or deletions to the minutes, or I mean to the agenda?
There are none.
None. Anyone in the audience wish to address anything that's an action item on the agenda this evening? Okay, we'll move on. Item 7 on our agenda here is a action on minutes from November 14, November 16, December 7, December 12. Anyone have any additions to corrections or deletions to those minutes? Hearing nothing, we'll have them approved as printed. Next on our agenda is our student representatives. Ladies, it's all yours.
So Key Club has a shoppers room at Park Hills. They did Christmas trips to New Hope Ministries, Christmas Blessings Express, and the National Wreath Project Assembly in Gettysburg. They've been working concession stands at wrestling and basketball games, hosting PTA babysitting at the elementary schools, and they'll be hosting a canned food drive later in February and in March. Triam has a leadership night for just the Triam members this Friday, and they are collaborating with Minithon to host a benefit recital in which all the proceeds will be donated to Minithon, and the virtual auditions for the performers are due tonight. They have the 8th grade move-up night, February 28th, and then a night out at Permanente Brothers tonight. Competition basketball cheer just finished a Krispy Kreme fundraiser, and their senior night was the 16th of January, and they have a first competition in Lancaster Convention Center this Saturday. And the Minithon is hosting a comedy night February 25th at Irish Town Fire Hall. And once again, the benefit concert on the 17th.
So our freshman class office is currently working hard to organize a parent date night babysitting fundraiser. It will be on February 10th, and parents can drop off children that attend one of our elementary schools to enjoy games and activities while parents go out for Valentine's Day. They also will be having a Joe Corby sale from January 31st to February 13th. Flyers and social media posts will come out sometime this week. They also made around $500 off of their previous Mary Mustang shirt sale. The swimming and diving teams went to the Dover Invitational in December. Our freshman divers took first and second for their grade level, and our sophomore diver landed in fourth. The girls swimming team placed fourth out of 16 teams with 146 points, and the guys placed 7th out of 14 teams with 102 points. Tomorrow night will be the senior night for the swim team at our meet against Central. The girls' record currently stands at 6-1, and the guys' record stands at 3-4. Girls basketball currently has 7 wins and 11 losses. They're ranked 20th in the district and are fighting to make it to one of the top 16 spots to advance to playoffs in the first round of districts. Boys basketball currently has a 4-12 record. They had an amazing win against Spring Grove on senior night. Their last 2 home games are today and Friday this week, and they have 3 away games next week. And boys and girls wrestling had their senior night on the 20th.
For Varsity Club, they helped out at the Mannheim Winterfest on the 13th of January. Snowball's coming up. It's the 4th of February, and our theme is a winter wonderland. Snowball King voting is currently underway. Fortnights have been going well, and there's actually one going on right now as we speak. Mr. Minithon participants have started practicing for the big performance in February, and Student Council is also hosting a canned food drive starting this Friday. National Art Honor Society is hosting their 2nd annual Empty Bowls event on February 3rd to help raise money for our school's backpack program. The senior class office made over $1,000 in profit from the fruit sale that they ran last month. They're currently running their last fundraiser for the year, Krispy Kreme fundraiser. It ends the 9th of February, and pickup will be the 16th of February in the high school cafeteria. And profits from this fundraiser will go directly towards the cost of the prom ticket for the individual selling. And then for TSA, the regional competition is the same day as Snowball, so the 4th of February, and it'll be at Mountain View Middle School. And January, as you hopefully know, or now you know, is Board of School Directors Recognition Month. On behalf of the Southwestern Student Council, we would like to commend the time and dedication you all commit to our district and community. We appreciate you all for creating a space where people can voice their opinions and also a place to highlight all the accomplishments within our schools. Your continuous efforts are what makes Southwestern a great place to be, and we are grateful for everything that each and every one of you do for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your comments, and thank you for your gifts of appreciation for the work that we do for you and the other students of the school district. Other
Oh,
board
sorry,
members?
sorry, one more thing to add.
Oh.
There's also refreshments, so cupcakes and water in the library.
Oh, why, thank you. Any board members have any comments?
Thank
Jay?
you.
Other than thank you, I just want to personally thank you all for the example that you set, not only for your fellow students, but for us as to how to properly prepare yourself and present yourself.
Thank you again.
I do have one item here, had been asked to share with the board. It's from Mannheim Elementary School. And it says Southwestern School District School Board members, thank you. You are navigating our Mannheim Vikings towards a successful future. We appreciate your leadership. And you can see it's a certificate, so I'll make sure that we have that, and I'll share that with Mr. Bolt. So thank you to Mannheim.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is matter for which board action is required. Personnel Committee, Mrs. Berger.
Thank you, Mr. Mummer. I will say it's daunting to make this presentation with Mrs. Rinker at the table. I hope that I do you justice. I'd like to make a motion to approve item 9A1, our leaves, 9A2, employment of professional personnel, day-to-day substitutes, support personnel, C, which includes spring coaches. There are quite a few on that list. Take note. D, volunteer coaches. And then share the resignation.
Okay, we have a motion by Vanessa Berger for agenda items 9A, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, down through D. Is there a?
I'll second.
Rich, second, thank you. Comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Berger,
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer,
Yes.
Mr. Klausby,
Yes.
Mr. Galzella,
Yes.
Mr. Plessick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rinker,
Yes.
Mrs. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Jinks,
Yes.
Mr. Mummert.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
And please note the resignations and check the website for vacancies.
Thank you, Vanessa. The next on the agenda is Finance and Support Services, Mrs. Jinks.
Thank you, Mr. Mummer. I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda items 9B, 1 through 8. Numbers 1 through 4 are all of our financial reports that were attached to Agenda Manager. 5, 6, and 7 were discussed at Monday evening's Finance Committee meeting. And number 8, as you can read here, it is to enter into an agreement with Dacio.
Second.
We have a motion by Amanda Yinks, second by Jay Klausby. Any further comments, questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Boyer,
Yes.
Mr. Klausby,
Yes.
Mr. Galzella,
Yes.
Mr. Plessick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rinker,
Yes.
Mrs. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Jinks,
Yes.
Mrs. Berger,
Yes.
Mr. Mummert.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Thank you, Mandy. Next on our agenda is our program committee. Mrs. Weaver.
Good evening. I'd like to make a motion to approve items number 9C, 1 and 2.
We have a motion by Amanda Weaver for program committee items 1 and 2, second by Ann Rinker.
Dr. Burkhart, would you just take a moment to explain, since not everybody was here or listening at the last meeting, why we are reviewing modifications to the district's health plan?
So that's a requirement under the federal funding that we've received with the ESSER dollars, and it has to be reviewed a minimum of every 6 months and action taken. So this evening, it's in front of you, and we are recommending no changes to the plan since it was approved last time. But it is a process that we have to follow in order to comply with the federal guidelines.
Thank you so much. And then the second item is to provide nursing services for a student who needs nursing services here at the school.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Klausby,
Yes.
Mr. Galzella,
Yes.
Mr. Plessick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rinker,
Yes.
Mrs. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Jinks,
Yes.
Mrs. Berger,
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer,
Yes.
Mr. Mummert.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Thank you, Mandy. Next is the Building, Grounds, and Equipment Committee, Mr. Plessick.
Thank you, Mr. Mulmer. I'd like to make a motion to approve items 9D, 1 through 9, which are various payments and disbursements. And then the final one there, number 9, is a evacuation point for Columbia Cottage.
Second.
We have a motion by Rich Plessick, second by Vanessa Berger for agenda item 9D, 1 through 9. Other comments, questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Galzella,
Yes.
Mr. Plessick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rinker,
Yes.
Mrs. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Jinks,
Yes.
Mrs. Berger,
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer,
Yes.
Mr. Klausby,
Yes.
Mr. Mummert.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Thank you, Rich. Next, Student and Community Relations Committee, Mrs. Boyer.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'd like to make a recommendation that we approve items 9E, 1 through 10.
Second.
We have a motion by Cindy Boyer and a second by Vanessa Berger for agenda item 9E, 1 through 10. Questions, comments?
No, it's normal things using our facilities, and then some, and giving permission to our cheerleaders to go away, and then some disciplinary things that we need to be discussed in
Executive session.
executive session. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Plessick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rinker,
Yes.
Mrs. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Jinks,
Yes.
Mrs. Berger,
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer,
Yes.
Mr. Klausby,
Yes.
Mr. Galzella,
Yes.
Mr. Mummert.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yes.
Legislative PSBA report and related action. I don't think, yeah, Ann's not aware. Jeff, are you aware of anything in that regard? Okay. Item 10 on our agenda is reports and related action. Solicitor sitting in for Dr. Dalton this evening is Garrett
Yes,
Bahoka.
thank you. It's really great to see all of you. You should have received a written report from Lee. If you have any questions you want me to take back to her, see me after the meeting. I would like to thank and congratulate Mrs. Rinker on her remarkable tenure on the board. Thank you personally for all your kindness you extended to me and the other members of our team over the years, and congratulations, Ann, on your retirement from the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Garrett. York County School of Technology, Joint Operating Committee and Authority, Operating Committee. Matt?
I just briefly want to touch on, so every month York Tech has a Student of the Month where they highlight some of the students that are excelling over at York Tech, and there were 4 this month. I reached out to them. They produced a little clip. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it prepared for tonight, but in the future, we'll be seeing our students from Southwest who make that. This month, Leighton Reiner, he's in the IT electronics, made that. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention that he's excelling over there, and he was recognized as Student of the Month.
Thank you, Matt. Joint Authority?
No report.
No report. LI Unit 12, any input? Recreation Commission,
No report.
thank you. Title I and II,
No report this evening.
Superintendent's report.
Just a couple items, sorry to break the streak. We did send out an update this evening to our families about the update to the modification of the calendar for February. There was an error on my part. It was, President's Day was incorrect on the calendar, so it's been adjusted, and that was sent out this evening via email. Also, earlier this week, Monday, Mother Nature decided to release a snow squall at about 7 o'clock, about 6:45, 7 o'clock when our buses were on the road. So I want to thank our bus drivers for once again demonstrating the epitome of professionalism and getting our children here safely, and also to our custodial and maintenance staff, because they had to then go into action and make sure the campus was prepared. So those are the kind of curveballs that we get. And again, it's just demonstrating how great of a staff we have. And thanks to our teachers and everyone else for getting the day ready, because I'm sure it's stressful for our families when that happens. Also, this is School Board Recognition Month, so I would like to take this opportunity to thank the 9 people who sit here every month, multiple times a month, and give countless hours on behalf of our students and our community. I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart and our administrative team. Your support is tremendous. And to Mrs. Rinker. I don't know that there are a number of hours that we could possibly tabulate that you served this district, but I want to share a little personal story. So about 6 years ago, I sat about where that microphone is, I should say. And there was a table here. Many of the people around this table are different, but many are the same. And it was the day I interviewed for the very first time to come here and be the superintendent of schools. And it was a nerve-wracking time, because anybody who's gone through an interview, you know, oh my God, am I going to answer the questions right? You're sweating. But I remember very clearly that the personnel was under your guidance, your charge. And the most vivid memory I have that night was because the questions came from you. You did it with such poise and such class that it reflected so greatly on this district. And it's something that you've done for your, 40 years? And so, well, almost 45 years. And so there's no words that I could say. There's nothing that I can possibly give you to thank you for your time for these students. But I want to tell you that that night when I left here, there were many things that stood out about this district. And you were probably one of the greatest because of the way you conducted yourself and handled that interview. And it was such a positive for me to leave, hoping one day, unfortunately, was selected to be part of this team. And I just want to thank you for that, because that's something that'll stay with me for the rest of my career.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Dr. Burkhart. Other reports, Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Hartman.
Sure, just briefly, I want to share, I know a lot of times I sit here and I raise the alarm about the teacher shortage, and you know, I don't mean to try to alarm anyone or give scare tactics, but that's a lot of the world I live in, you know, concerned about that. But I had a really cool experience this past week I want to share. I was invited to go into Dee Stremmel's class and speak with her senior students who had completed preschool lab, and they were also either Ed Intern 1 or Ed Intern 2 students. 12 seniors who are all planning on going to college and majoring in education. She asked me to come in and just talk to them a little bit about things like teacher certification and what to expect in an ed prep program and what schools are looking for and so on. And they had a lot of great questions and it was a lot of great dialogue. And I know when I left the room that day, they were, the next agenda item for them was to determine which board member or board meeting they were going to come to, because that's a requirement of that program is for them to attend. So I thought maybe I would see them here tonight because tonight was in the running, but I guess after I left, they selected another date. But just want to give kudos to Mrs. Stremmel and the program she runs at the high school for preparing future educators, and kudos to the students. I really left there optimistic about the future of teaching. So great experience that I had the opportunity to participate in. And I'll echo what Dr. Burkhart said. Just congratulations, Ann, on your tenure on the board and your retirement. And I've had the pleasure of knowing you for about 15 years, and the last 7 sitting right next to you 2 times a month, at least 2 times a month. I've enjoyed every moment of it. So enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Business Administrator, Mr. Jeffrey Mummert.
Thank you, Mr. Mummert. Other than my written report, the only thing I would add is thank you, Mrs. Rinker, for your years of service and for your support over the years. It is appreciated and you'll be missed. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Jeff. Director of Special Education, Dr. Hom. Thank you. Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, Dr. Friel.
All right, good evening, everybody. I wanted to, as both an administrator in the district and also a resident in the district who have children at Southwestern, I just want to thank you all, members of the school board, for your tireless service to just helping to make sure that we are able to do the things that we do here in the district. And I certainly appreciate that, both as an employee and as a dad. I do appreciate that. Mrs. Rinker, thank you so much for your service as well. It's been a pleasure to know you in this capacity. And I also just wanted to acknowledge, in addition to my written report, and I'm going to offer to do this for the next month report, one of the things that I get to do in my job that is, I don't always represent well, but I feel is very important, is how many teachers that I get to work with across the spectrum, K-12, extending well beyond their days and just doing a lot of the leadership things that we need to do with the area of curriculum instruction and assessment. For example, over the last 2 weeks, I've had about 31 of our elementary teachers working tirelessly on doing some work on our ELA curriculum. And I just want to tell you that there is a lot of commitment to the quality of our district, and I appreciate leading the people in our district, namely those ones who seem to rise up, and I really do value that. So I'm going to offer some names to you of those people just to show my appreciation to them for what they do, and I'd like to make sure that you are able to recognize that as well. But thank you again for your service. I very much appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Friel. Next is our elementary supervisor, Dr. Cromer.
Good evening. Other than our written report, I do want to sort of echo what everyone is saying as far as thanking the school board. And we've said it in different times, a lot of hours that you all take and you do for the community, the kids, the teachers. We truly appreciate that, especially that it's as a reminder that it's not a paid position. So you are volunteering all that time, and we greatly appreciate that. Specifically, Ann, want to thank you on behalf of the elementary. I just want to share a sort of a little story. This past weekend, I was with another alumni from the mid-90s, and she made a comment. She knows what I do during the day, obviously. Said something about the board, and I said, well, Ann's stepping down, and her first response was, how's Ann doing? She was one of the senior aides, or high school student reps back in the 90s, and she spoke very highly of you and just talked about how much she enjoyed being with you. So just their impact goes well and beyond the kids that are here now. So I want to thank you on behalf of the elementary. Thank you, everyone else.
Thank you, Dr. Cromer. Middle school principal, Dr. Schmale.
Good evening, everyone. I want to just reiterate what really everybody else was said. We really appreciate all the work that you do. It is thankless, and the amount of hours that you put in is very much appreciated. So on behalf of our staff, I want to thank you for all your support that you have provided to us. And I'll just share a quick story as well. Today, I was talking with a staff member, and we were just talking about your tenure on the board, and she shared with me that when you started on the board, she wasn't even born yet. And, you think about that and an admiration of the amount of time and hours that you have put in, and I know we've worked closely in HAFU and some other things over the years, and really appreciate and most respect for all the work that you have done for Southwestern. So thank you. Just a couple of things regarding things going on at EHMS. Obviously, the last few months have been busy for everybody with the holiday season. For us, we had our concert series, our orchestra concert, our choral concerts, and our band concerts, in addition to our community partnership concerts. And those are always really great to see the talents of our kids and our staff as well, who our music and performing arts staff as well, who put on those concerts. I did want to highlight a few things in my board report. We made some changes to our PBIS program this year, and you'll notice some statistics in there. We had some really high numbers of kids, and basically one of the big changes we made is we typically would have an event at the mid-year and at the end of the year that kids would work towards. And we found that with some of our struggling students, they would benefit more from smaller events that we have monthly. And we've really found that that's been a positive, we've gotten a positive response from a lot of our kids because it's very much in front of them and they know from month to month sort of where they stand. And we found that that's been a very positive change for our PBIS program. Another thing I'd like to highlight is just the amount of service that our students put into the building, our after-school programs. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that I also talked about in some recent newsletters. For example, our Builders Club. They're the big driver behind our Feed a Friend initiative, which brings in lots of canned goods for our local community. And one of the things is we want to teach our kids to be service-minded because ultimately our kids are going to be part of our community. And we want them to get the feeling of giving back to others because we know if they're service-minded individuals, they're ultimately going to be great community members as well. We also recently participated, this was actually in November, a Roots for Boots program in which several of our students made thank you cards for local veteran members and created packs of bags of things that they could utilize and things that they could use. And then also we also had a Christmas giving tree in which we were able to support 13 families and 37 students throughout the district. So we really try to emphasize those kind of things with our students again, because ultimately they're going to be our community members. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smale. Mandy?
Just a comment in regards to your Strive program. I have two kids at the middle school and they speak very highly of the new program. They also liked the old program. But I think one of my biggest takeaways is that they see children who wouldn't have necessarily been qualified with the old program being able to qualify for this new program. And then that empowers them as my children to help their friends make those goals every month because the things that they're doing are quite fun. So if it's, we're going to go outside and play Foursquare with our math teacher and everyone's probably just going to nail them with a playground ball and it'll be fun. They really are pushing each other to get there because it isn't that you blow it once and you're done mentality. And to see 99% of a team in 8th grade, those 8th graders who stalled out in 5th grade when COVID hit and lost their last elementary year and then were dumped into middle school with the social emotional skills of 5th graders to hit 99% it's amazing. So I am so grateful to the middle school team for working creatively to figure out what works for your kids, not necessarily what works for every child, but there isn't a percentage on here lower than 91%. And I just think that is definitely something to be celebrated. And I can't wait to see what you guys can take this and really build on it because it is something very cool. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mandy. Anyone else? Next is our high school principal, Mr. Downs.
Good evening. In addition to our written report, I too would like to thank our school board members for their service to this community and Mrs. Rinker to your amazing 45 years on this board. I'm just blown away by that number when I was sitting back there thinking about it. So thank you for everything. Our students, as usual, do a great job. I was checking things off as they were saying it. And, but tomorrow night is our spring parent get acquainted night from 6:30 to 8:30 in the high school. So looking forward to seeing a lot of our parents coming in tomorrow evening to meet our teachers for the spring semester here. And in addition to that, Mr. Wareheim is not here, so I think I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm going to act like the athletic director here for him. He's covering our basketball game against Dallastown over there this evening. And he wanted me to share that we are completing our season, our regular season for basketball, boys and girls, and for our wrestling team and for our swimming and diving. And we will begin postseason play. Unfortunately, none of our sports teams have qualified for team play, but our wrestlers and our swimming and diving will go on to the individual competitions after the season, okay, postseason that way. So he wanted me to share that in addition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Downs.
I just had a quick.
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted, I didn't get to catch you, Dr. Frill, before you left. You said you were going to get us that list of teachers that put in that extra time on the curriculum. I'd very much like to know who's putting in that extra time. Okay.
Okay, next on our agenda is comments and questions. First of all is the Southwestern Education Association. Miss Wilson.
Mari getting the evil eye from Mr. Mummer. I told him I wasn't going to say anything, but I did forget with school board. So I want to thank you all as usual for all your endless hours and helping us be successful so we can help the students. And Mrs. Rinker, for your years of service, I would be the person that Dr. Smale was talking about. This, this afternoon when he stopped by and he said that was official tonight, I was like, yep, that's longer than I've been alive. So, but thank you for all your years and enjoy your retirement.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Next on our agenda is correspondence. Members have correspondence? Okay, I do not either. Other matters for board consideration. We have an item there that Jay Klausby is going to address.
Thank you, Mr. Mummert. It is with a very heavy heart that I'm about to make a motion. But before I do that, I hope you will indulge me a moment to make a comment or two about my fellow board member. This motion requires the word resignation, but in Ann's own words, it's not a resignation, it's a retirement. How do you even begin to acknowledge almost 45 years of commitment, time, effort, sacrifice made on behalf of so many? You really can't. But if you will allow me a moment or two, I will do my very best to try. Mrs. Rinker served this district and its taxpayers for 2/3 of the district's life and more than half of her own life. It's not possible to replace her, her perspective, her knowledge, her history, or her commitment. She, like few others, knows what it has taken over these many years for Southwestern to become what it is today, because she was there helping to make those difficult decisions that have allowed it to thrive. I can't even figure the number of students, teachers, administrators, support personnel, and even taxpayers that she has touched personally. The number is too high and much too great for me to calculate. Ann was always very professional, very positive, and very easygoing. That was, unless someone or something got in the way of ensuring that each and every student had what they needed, or more importantly, what they deserved to achieve. She would fight like the Dickens to make sure that that happened. I can say so much more about Ann, but I don't have enough words or the ability to do her justice. I can simply say that it has been a true privilege and honor to work alongside her and to learn so much from her. We have been blessed to have her as our colleague, our mentor, our leader, and most importantly, our friend. I wish her and Doc both many years of good health and happiness and retirement. And with that being said, I make a motion that the board approve agenda item 14A.
We have a motion by Jake Klausby. Do I have a second? I'll second. Mr. Galazella. Before I call for the roll, any other comments anyone wishes to make? Good. Cindy.
I just want to thank you, Anne. Gosh, I'm kind of like sad. I thank you for everything that you've done to help me. I've been on the board for 10 years, and early on, you really helped me understand, what I needed to do and what my role needed to be here on the board. And I want to thank you for that. I also have been fortunate over the years to not only work with you here, but also at the Brethren Home and the hospital at times. And she's truly not only served Southwest, she's served our entire community. So thank you. You should be proud of all of your accomplishments. And I hope that you enjoy your retirement. I hope you get to do many more trips to Hilton Head, the love that we share. And one just little funny story that I wanted to share is we have board retreats, and we actually have one this week, but early on we used to go to Dutch country to have breakfast when I started with the board. And it always cracked me up and loved to get an eclair and a side of bacon. And I was like, she's a woman after my own heart.
My favorite.
Your favorite thing. So thank you very much, Anne, for all of your service and your friendship.
I appreciate it from all of you. I really have enjoyed my time here. It's never been an effort. It's always been a pleasure. And I thank you very much for your kind remarks and comments. And I am looking forward to my retirement with my family. My son and husband are here tonight, and I thank them for coming. It's been a wonderful experience, and I thank you all for the opportunity.
Mandy, I believe you had some comments you'd like to make.
So unfortunately, for my luck, apparently, I have not gotten to serve at this table very long with you. If I'm the reason you're leaving, I apologize. My husband would probably agree with that. No, I'm just kidding. But two quick stories. Years and years ago, there was a special election that was held. I don't know exactly the date, but I want to say it was probably 2012 or 2013. And I ran or came in for an interview. And so did my husband. We actually both interviewed for the same position. And it didn't go very well. And the questions that were asked left me feeling a little slightly offended. And at the end of the meeting, you took it upon yourself to come up with another board member who no longer sits on the board and tell me that this was just the beginning and to not give up and to ignore the loud voices and keep moving. And so I did. And now fast forward to 2022, and without a special election, I'm sitting next to you. The other funny story is that we have two board members named Amanda that sit on this board. And for the first 5 meetings, Anne was unable to tell the difference between the two of us. And while I find many characteristics very similar to Mrs. Yangst, there are a few obvious differences. I have reddish brown hair. No, I'm just kidding. So it was my goal that you would know that I was Mrs. Weaver before you left. So I hope that you know that this Mrs. Weaver is so grateful for you. And I hope that whatever you guys get into, you just have a blast because you have given so much energy to us. So now channel all that energy into enjoying whatever the next thing you have going is.
Thank you very much.
Any other board members make comment? Jeff, you have a roll call, please. Matt did. We have it. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Yingst,
Yes.
Mrs. Berger,
Yes.
Mrs. Boyer,
Yes.
Mr. Clausby,
Unfortunately, yes.
Mr. Galzella,
Yes.
Mr. Plessick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rinker, Mr. Mummert.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Isn't that a conflict of interest, Dan? I'd also like to know why we no longer go to Dutch country. This seems like a great idea, and I feel like we should instill this just for Ann.
There's been wonderful comments made about Ann. I can't really expand on anything that our other board members haven't already. It's just been, it's been a wealth of education that I have come across, put out by Mrs. Rinker, and it has helped me significantly over the 20 years that I have been serving with her. And it's been an honor. Thank you for your service. Next in our agenda is our visitors. First, I'm going to call upon, if I don't get these names right, don't shoot me. Trinia Watson.
Hello, I'm Trinia Watson of the Southwestern High School Diversity Club. With me, I have Michaela Glover and Kamal Chelsea. We also have our advisors and other club members with us today. January is School Director Recognition Month, and we know that you volunteer countless hours making sure that our school runs well. We are grateful for you that you have always welcomed and listened to our point of views. The Diversity Club would like to give you a small token of our appreciation. Thank you for your services to the students and staff of Southwestern School District. Thank you also to the administration staff, school solicitors, and student council students who help our board with their important work.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. And our next personal request is, again, the name, is it Damian Lax? Okay. Come to the mic, please.
Hello, how's everyone doing? And thank you all for your work on the board, and Miss Ranker, congratulations to you on your retirement. Thank you for your years of service. I'm standing here today because I just wanted to speak with you all on the board, if I could, for just a minute, just to tell you a little bit about myself and discuss a coaching application that I had put in last year. So I was just going to start with some of the facts. In 2003, I was 18, and I got into a fist fight, and I was charged with simple assault. And about a year later, I was 19, and I was arrested for selling 5 like small bags of marijuana to an undercover police officer. That's my history, and that's what's on my personal record from almost 20 years ago. But the reason I'm here today, I just wanted to just talk about who I am today, as a father, as a husband, as a business owner here in Penn Township, and as a man in the community. Since the date of these convictions, first of all, I just want to say thank you all for the opportunity to speak before you. I would like to take this opportunity to express that I am remorseful for my past actions, and I have worked extremely hard at identifying where I went wrong in my overall decision making. As I had mentioned, it was my immaturity and false sense of pride caused me to get into a fight. These days, I am a more cerebral person that actively engages in critical analysis, which enables me to have a greater foresight about the consequences of my actions, both positive and negative. It is also worth mentioning that I have obtained an additional degree of stability in my life since the date of that conviction, including marrying my wife of now 11 years tomorrow, as well as birthing and raising my 4 children. Since these convictions, I have learned that there are other ways for me to earn income that does not involve me breaking the law or require me to risk my freedom. Admittedly, the history of my criminal convictions made it difficult for me to find employment initially, which is why after much digging, I became a legal entrepreneur. That said, after also I earned my GED while I was incarcerated, and I was also the valedictorian and was the keynote speaker during the graduation. I then went on, after coming home from jail, I went on to earn my associate's degree in culinary arts in 2014. And in 2019, my wife and I, we opened up Grillrilla inside the markets at Hanover. That said, despite my degree of success that I have been able to achieve in spite of my criminal convictions, there are still some obstacles that I am confronted with professionally. One is a roadblock that my wife is a real estate agent, and I'm currently trying to become a real estate agent myself. But another thing specifically is I have been denied from being able to coach high school sports, which is a passion of mine. I have volunteered and coached for recreational and young children before. In the 5th grade level, I coached my son and nephew, and when we were in Hanover, and I'm currently coaching my daughter's YMCA team. In summary, I am a completely different person from whom I used to be during the time when I had incurred these criminal convictions. However, today I consider myself to be a man of integrity who is doing everything within my power to provide for my family and to restore the community that I live in. Therefore, it is my hope that this board will reconsider my application to be a volunteer coach for the high school football team. I really just have a passion for children. And although I don't think that my past mistakes define who I am now, I do believe that they give me some insight into the consequences of doing wrong. And I am able to see the blessings of doing things the right way. And I believe that's a value that I can add to children, especially in the high school age, when a lot is going on and a lot is coming at you. I think I do a very good job of I've raised my son and nephew, Antoine Jefferson and Damian Lax Jr., and they are very, very far from who I was as a child. And it's something that I'm very proud of. That's the 5 o'clock timer I set for myself. So thank you all very much for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Damian, thank you. It was a pleasure hearing your story, your background, and your future ambitions as to what you've already done and where you're headed. It's enlightening to me, as well as I think everybody else here at the board and people that have been listening via live stream, that you have a passion, you've turned yourself around, and you have a passion for the community.
Yes, sir.
And that's fantastic. That's a good step in the right direction.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The other persons who have signed in were in observance only, but I'll ask Candace, if you have anything you'd like to say. Brad Rinker, there's got to be something you want to say.
I didn't think I'd have an opportunity to say anything, but I just came to be an observer, so I don't have anything prepared, but I will say so what's the 45 years? That makes me, I was 7 when Mom started this journey, and all the nights growing up when she was at a meeting, knowing where she was going, knowing the impact that she had, and just kind of listening to it around her. But seeing in this environment, I'm embarrassed to say this might be the first time I've been to a meeting, Mom. And I apologize for that. I gotta say, it touches my heart. I've got tears ready to explode listening to what you folks have said and what my mother has meant to you, and I couldn't be more proud of you, Mom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. This isn't the first time that your name has been mentioned here. I can guarantee you that. In a good way, in a good way. Doc, do you have anything you'd like to say?
If I say anything, it'll be wrong.
I understand entirely, Jim.
long journey and she's enjoyed the entire extent of it. And she will miss all of you very, very much.
As we will miss her as well.
You know where to find us.
Yeah.
You may find me out there. Wouldn't surprise me.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
would you like to make a comment about Mrs. Rinker, maybe?
Nah, she's an old lady. There were times when I called you that, isn't it?
Yes, doesn't matter.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Truly, truly.
Thank you.
You are loved and you're blessed and enjoy it. Trust me. Enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Anybody else in the audience wish to make a comment? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Jay, is there a second?
Second?
Ann Rinker, give her the honor. We have a motion and a second. Motion by Jay Klausby, second by Ann Rinker. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? Thank everyone for their attendance and participation in tonight's meeting. Drive safe on the way home in case it got cooler.
We have 30 days from now to get it.